All righty. Thanks for coming on, mate. It's been a long time coming. I really can't wait to do this interview with you. But before we get into the nitty gritty of your fucking wild life, let's get a little bit about you beforehand, and then we'll get into it. Yeah, not too much about your past, but let's just see what you're like as a kid. You know what I mean? That's all I want to know.
Well, you know what? Growing up, I was never going to get a 9 to 5 job. I was never going to, work. So from leaving school, I was drug dealing. So I started off.
From what age? From what age?
What?
What age group? What age were you when you
As soon
started?
as I left school at like 17, 16, I was selling drugs at 17, 18. And obviously it first started in the weed business. And then from selling, eighths of weed, packets of weed, ounces of weed, and it was going to kilos of weed. From then I started getting into pills and ecstasy. And then obviously from there it went into the harder stuff,
Fuck me, you fucking didn't fucking...
I didn't mess about.
Yeah. Fucking Jesus. So where were you getting it all from, though? Like, were you sourcing it, making it yourself, or what were you doing?
No, you'd obviously get it off. You get it off as another supplier, someone that was doing it.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna get. What age did you actually get your first offence?
My first offence. Well, I've obviously had offences when I was younger, but I actually went to jail for the first time when I was 19. So I went to a Young Offenders Institute at 19.
What was that for?
That was for a Section 18 wounding with intent. So the first time I went to jail, I got a 3-year sentence for smashing a pint glass in some geezer's face.
Oh, well, what didn't he buy enough pills off you?
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, so okay, so you've had five sentences, yeah?
Five
correct?
sentences, yes.
2 Section 18s, wounding with intent.
Yes, that's correct.
One ABH.
Yeah.
Possession of a weapon. What weapon?
No, I'll tell you the weapon. The weapon was a kosh. You know the kosh what the coppers used to have?
Yeah.
Koshes that used to come out.
Yeah.
I got caught with one of them at Heathrow Airport.
What were you doing with it going through Heathrow Airport?
Well, I was coming back. So this is the funny thing about it. So when you only get your bag searched going out of an airport, right? No one knows this.
Yeah.
You don't get it searched coming into an airport.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So when I was in Greece, I brought this kosh. I thought I need one of them. I thought that would be handy under my bed. Anyway, so I've got this kosh. It's in my suitcase. Now I flew business class on this journey. Now I had this big voodoo warrior stick thing, right? So when I've got it out of the baggage, it snapped in half because I couldn't put it in a suitcase. So they just put a thing on it and put it, chucked it in. So when it came around the thing where the suitcases are, it snapped in half. So I went back and I said, look, this ain't good enough. I want to put a complaint in against this. They said, you'll have to go back through security. Right, I didn't even think. So my mate's saying, right, I'll wait here for you. So I didn't say, right, I'll leave my suitcase here. Stupidly, I took my suitcase back through security to go through to British Airways where they were. And the minute it's gone, beep, 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 beep. They was like, right, open your bag. Anyway, I've opened the bag and obviously they've seen it. Now, I've been in jail a lot of times by this, and I was thinking, shit, what the fuck, what's going on? So they're right, gives you a passport. So I give them my passport. Then anyway, the next minute, I see that the door was open. I thought, I'm going to jail. I'm going to try and make a run for it. Right, so the door's open. I just quickly ran out the door. Yeah, as soon as I got to the door, armed police were there. Right, get on the floor. Got on the floor, and that was that.
Fucking what? You're not supposed to bring them in. You can't. Like, how come you can buy them over there, but you can't bring them in?
Because they're the banned weapon in England. What are you allowed them in Australia?
Well, I don't know. I don't go shopping for fucking one of them.
Not anymore, anyway, Neil.
Fucking hell.
You know what the funny thing about it was, though? The copper at the time.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Right, so the copper at the time actually said to me, like, I was chatting to him. He said, look, he said, because of your record, he said, I'm going to have to arrest you for this. He said,
Yeah,
if it had been your first offence, I probably would have let you go. He said, but I
yeah.
spoke to my governor, I spoke to the boss. He said, because you've had a lot of convictions and because of your criminal record, I'm going to have to arrest you. He said, but one thing I will say, he said, just say you brought that for fishing, and when the fish came in, you whacked it on the head to stun it. That's what he told me. I thought, I'm not saying that in court. I said, I'm not saying, can you imagine that, me coming out with that? They'd be like, fuck off, mate. You don't look like a fisherman.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, and you got charged with cannabis possession, or what?
No, that was growing. That was growing, cultivating cannabis.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. So, the section 18.
Yeah.
Who did you wound for that one?
What, the second one or the first one?
tell me both.
Well, the first section 18 was when I told you about the glass in the face.
Yeah.
So that was when I was 19.
Yeah.
Then there was a second one back in. When did I get out and when did I go in? So I went into. So that would have been about 210 to 11.
Yeah.
That second one.
Fuck. And what was that for? Like, what did you do to him?
I sliced his face with a Stanley knife.
Have you listen? I want to get. Let's go back a little bit. How old were you then?
Well, this was about 30 years old. I would have been then.
30 years old?
Something like that, yeah. So this second one, because I had 2 Section 18s.
Yeah.
Now, basically, if you get 2 Section 18s in the UK,
yeah,
that's a life sentence. Now, 2 Section 18s wounding him with Section 18 wounding with intent is a very serious offence. It's one under attempted murder.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a serious offence. Now, if you get 2 of them, you get a life sentence. So the pre-sentence reports from probation, when I had this second one, obviously I got remanded for it. They're obviously going to remand me for it. They didn't give me bail. So I got remanded for this one. Anyway, so I had done the pre-sentence report, and it was a female, yeah? And I was well, I thought I was charming her, so I was saying... Well, I was sort of saying, yeah, this and that, babe, yeah, babe, I said, oh, you look good today. When I first walked in, I said, oh, you look lovely. Anyway, so we've done the pre-sentence report. A week later, I went to court. I see my solicitor down in the cells, and I'm thinking it went really well. Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, she was really nice. Really liked me, and I said, how did it go? He said, she's recommended life. And I went, and I actually said to him, to my solicitor, I said, what? I said, I thought, I've got on really well for you. He said, well, I've got it here. He said, on paper. This guy tried to charm me. He was flirting with me all throughout the interview to try and lower his sentence.
Oh, fucking hell.
So yeah, I got recommended life. Now, luckily, because these two offences were just over 10 years. It was like 10 years, 4 months. Or 10 years, 3 months or something. It was just over 10 years. Now, when I got sentenced for it, the judge turned around and said, look, pre-sentence reports have recommended life for you. I'm not going to give you life, purely for the fact that it was just over 10 years. He said, if you'd have come before me 5 months ago, he said, I would have given you a life. He said, you'd have had a life sentence. He said, but I'm not going to give you life. Now, back then in England, it was an IPP, which meant indefinite for public protection. So that's a life sentence, right?
Yeah.
So you could get an IPP of 5 years and you could be in there 15 years because you have to see a parole board to come out. So even if you get a 4-year IPP, that's still a life sentence. Anyway, this guy says to me, he said, right, I'm not giving you an IPP. He said, I'm giving you an EPP. Now, an EPP is an extended sentence for public protection. So I got a 4-year sentence plus a 3 years extended for public protection. So I got a 7-year sentence.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow. But What did he? Can I ask what he did to deserve that?
He owed me £2,000. It's not
What?
worth it when you think about it.
You couldn't just beat him up. You had to fucking
Well,
slice his face.
when I think about it now, all them years in jail for £2,000, it don't make sense. But at the time, I was a young lad. I had something to prove. I had a point to make. You owe me money. You fuck with me. This is what happens.
Have you got a reputation?
Yes, I have. I have. Yeah.
So how long have you had that for? A long time?
You know what? I had my reputation from growing up from school. I was always the hardest in school. I'd never lost a fight in school. And it was growing up, I had that reputation. You know what? I've never lost a fight. I don't claim to be the hardest man in the world, but I've never lost a fist fight. Don't get me wrong. I've had a couple of sucker punches. When when you're drunk and you're in a bar and someone will just come up to you and bang you without you seeing.
Yeah.
And you know why they do that? Because they're scared of you. And they ain't got the balls to say, come on then, come and fight me. And that's why they do these sucker punches. And I've had three sucker punches. And I will see these people at some point. And when I do, that's it.
Well, hopefully they're watching the fucking podcast.
Hopefully.
But so tell me about, let's get to your life in jail, yeah? Because apparently you've been to 10 different jails.
Yeah, 10 different jails. I thought it was 11. I was trying to count them, but I can only count 10.
Okay, maybe you were just sleeping for one of the years in fucking another jail. Maybe
who knows?
No, fuck it. So tell me, can you remember all the jails you went to?
Right. So I've been in. Right. So let's start from the beginning. So Glenparva was the biggest young offenders jail in Europe. So that was in Leicestershire. So we'd done Glenparva. Then I'd done, from Glenparva I went to Hatfield, which was an open jail. From there I went to Moorlands, which was in Doncaster. From there I went to Bedford. From there I went to Stockton. From there I'd done Wormwood Scrubs in London. From Wormwood Scrubs I'd done Birmingham, Winson Green. Then I'd done Stafford. Then I'd done Peterborough. Then I'd done High Point, aka Knife Point. That's what it was called, Knife Point.
Yeah.
So that's 10 there and there, but I'm sure there's maybe one or two more.
Which was the worst jail you went to?
You know what? They're all shitholes. Jail's jail. And you know the hard bit about jail? It's not about the people in there. It's about not seeing your friends, not seeing your family, not seeing your kids. That's the hard part of jail. So it don't matter if you're in a shithole of a jail or a private jail. These private run jails, they're easier. They're nice, they're clean, they're okay. Every jail smells of jail. It's a horrible jail. It's a horrible smell. But it doesn't matter.
But which jail gave you the hardest time? My
hardest jail was Birmingham, Winson Green. Now that was an absolute shithole. Obviously, I'm a southerner, and Birmingham is up north in the Midlands. Yeah, and they didn't like Londoners,
But
so yeah, that weren't a very nice
If
jail.
you were going to walk into jail looking like this, back here now, like you're making a presence.
You know what? I never ever really get any problem when I'm in jail. Never. I think it's the way I carry myself.
I think so too.
I remember the first time I went into jail, Neil, when I was 19. I wasn't scared, but I didn't know what I was expecting. I was, I've got a 3-year sentence. I've got to do 18 months out of that. So I didn't know what to expect. Anyway, I'm thinking, if anyone tries to fucking mug me off, I'm gonna have to fucking have it. Anyway, so the first day I'm in jail, right, and we're going down the servery. We're down the line. Anyway, I see this servery geezer. All the servery geezers think they're the big hard fucking, they think they're the big hard boys, don't they, the servery guys, So they do, they think they're the boys. So anyway, as I'm going down the line, I notice this one, it's kind of big, but not muscly big, but just big. Just a big lump, probably about 6'2", just a big lump. Anyway, so he was, you know, I'd notice him sort of sorting all of his boys out. He'd be what we used to call it, fattening up. He'd be fattening up his mates. Chips after chips after chicken, yeah?
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple of other people went through. They got literally about 3 or 4 chips, right? Anyway, so I go up and he gives me tiny sort of handful of chips. I said, put some more down. He went, that's all you get. I said, put some more down now, you cunt. He said, that's... And then the screw went, calm down, calm down. So I looked at him and he looked at me. I was like, fuck you. And I grabbed the fucking chips and I put a load on my plate, right? Anyway, later that night it was association, right? It was association. After dinner it was association. Every night for an hour and a half or so you can play pool. This was back in the day, but you know, but like nowadays in jail, you get a phone in your cell.
Yeah.
But back then you didn't. So you had association every night from it was like from 5:30 till 7 o'clock at night or 7:30, where you could play pool, make phone call, do whatever you wanted. Yeah, you'd be out of your cell. Anyway, so we play. Right, so there's a pool game going on. This same geezer, this same servery guy that fucked me off with the chips, is there playing pool. Right, so I went, who's next? Right, and he went, well, I'm playing now. He's next, and then I'm next, and then you. Right. I went, yeah, righto, mate, righto. So I'm right, so I'm thinking he's trying to mug me off again. Anyway, lo and behold, he's played his game, he's lost, mate, he's played, he's went to rack up the table, he's went to rack up again, right? I thought, right, I'll let you put all these pool balls together. Just as he was about to fucking break, I picked up a fucking pool cue, I've launched these fucking pool balls across, I said, come on in, you cunt! Right, and you know, he went, oh, well, no, I'm sorry, mate. He went, no, sure go. So I had the game, yeah. I tell you what, this fucking idiot that thought he was the hardest man in jail, from there on then, he was licking my fucking ass every day. Later that night, he come up to me and went, oh, you know, I know you know. He said, sorry about earlier. He said, yeah, look, I've got a little selection pack for it. So he'd give me some juice, some biscuits, and some crisps and that. He went, there you go. He said, sorry about earlier. I was right, no worries. Every time I went into the servery from then on, I used to get food off him. You know, that's all you need sometimes. Just put it on these people. You don't even have to have a fight. You know, you just put it on them. They shit themselves, and that was that. You know, and that was my first day in jail.
Wow. What else? What's probably the worst thing you've seen in jail?
I've seen loads of people getting hurt in jail. You know, obviously everyone knows about the people in jail get slashed and cut up all the time. They get stabbed all the time with shanks. Yeah. Mainly what they used to do, so you'd get the prison razor blades, the little Bics, yeah, them horrible little orange Bic razors. So what they'd do, they'd melt them with a lighter to get the tiny little razor blade out, yeah. They'd do that on 2 of them. They'd then melt a toothbrush, the end of a toothbrush, and they'd put one side, one the other side. So now you've got two blades. So when you slash someone down the face, you've not got one cut, you've got 2 cuts. So you can't fucking stitch it up very well. So your face is fucked. So that used to be the thing. That used to be what everyone used, the toothbrushes, but now there's a new thing. Right, so you get tins of tuna in jail.
Yeah.
Right, so you get tin of tuna. Now, when a jail fucking, what you do, so back in the day, you never used to get tin openers. Yeah, now you can. So what you'd have to open it up with a fucking pair of fucking the sharp bit on a nail file, or you'd have to open it up with a fucking shank or something hard. Anyway, when you opened it up, you'd get it round. It'd take you fucking ages, but the end of that tuna tin would be
jagged
to fuck, right? Then what you'd do, you'd fold it in half, you'd stamp on it, you'd put it under your door, you'd get it folded in half. You've now got half a tuna lid, which is all jaggedy round the fucking edge. And the amount of people I've seen I've seen people's fucking ears off, I've seen people's holes in their fucking head. These tuna weapons are the naughty weapons. Oh, mate, it's as funny as it sounds.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, mate, you get one little, and they won't even do a one slice. I'll be like, and you're.
But how come if the prison if the system knows that these are dangerous, why are they still fucking why they
exactly why would they still do it? But then you can't get into tuna in plastic, you know.
Well, yeah, but you can. Yeah, but you can now.
Oh, you can get them little sachets, can't you?
Yeah.
You can. I don't know, you know, but yeah, they still do it. You know, I suppose they think it doesn't happen often. You know, it might happen every couple of weeks, so we don't do it, but they still do. You know.
Oh, fucking hell! You were out of 10. How valid do you reckon you are?
What now?
Yeah. Oh no, let's go back to your prime.
Oh, I was a 10. I was a 10 out of 10. You know, back then, you know, and you know yourself when you're on steroids. You know, when
I don't know if I'm in your category for this one.
Right, O'Neill. You know what? So it's the combination. You know, you're on steroids, you're on alcohol, you're on cocaine. That mix, and you just turn into a violent motherfucker. You know, someone looked at me the wrong way, I'd put a fucking glass in their face. You know, literally, I would do. I wouldn't hesitate. I'd just pick up a glass from the side, put it over their head, or I'd pick up a bottle from the side. I'd smash it on the side, so now I've just got a broken bottle, and I'd stab it in the neck. You know, I've glassed and bottled a lot of people that I've never been done for.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not bragging about it. You know, I've changed my life around now, but yeah, back in the day, I was quite naughty.
But yeah, the only other thing that you've never been done for is selling cocaine.
No, never. And I was selling big bits of cocaine. Back in the day, I was making a lot of money selling cocaine.
You were clever with that one. You never got caught.
Never got caught.
No.
They knew how big were you cocaine, but they never.
But how big are we talking here?
I was selling kilos and kilos and kilos back in the day. You know, I was making £10,000 a week selling it.
Shit.
I was making a lot. I tell you what though. So this was back in the day. This was 15 years ago. Before.
Are we talking like when the in the prime when what's his name Curtis Warren was around? You know Curtis Warren?
No. Even before that. So we're talking.
Before that.
Way before that. This was before cocaine really. People haven't really been using cocaine for very long, have they? You know, cocaine's only really been about 15 years or so. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
People wasn't doing it loads anyway. So when I was buying it, I was buying a kilo back then for 20,000. Right now, I would put that 1 kilo into 5 kilos, right, and I'd mix it with Novocaine, lidocaine, caffeine, aspirin. I'd mix it with anything to make it now 5 times. So now this £20,000, I've now got £100,000. Right? Now, my cocaine when I brought it was around 85%. Now it's only 17%. Right? Which is fucking shit. But back then, no one knew about cocaine, so you could get away with it. You know, people would still sniff it. You know, there's lidocaine in it, Novocaine in it, and they would think, or benzocaine, and they would think, oh, I'm numb, it's good. Well, no, it's numb because it's got a numbing agent in it.
Fucking hell.
So, you know, but then I kind of moved on to, that's not good. So we chucked in caffeine, we chucked in aspirin. But yeah, I used to make a lot of money doing that back in the day. So yeah, so like I say, so 1 into 5, £20,000 would net me £100,000. And I'd make that in a couple of months. So around £10,000 a week.
What wouldn't you sell? What was the thing that you wouldn't touch to sell?
I would never, ever sell heroin.
Okay, yeah.
No way. You know what? I've been in jail a lot of times, and I've been in cells when people fucking chase the drag and they smoke the heroin. Yeah, I've been in that. It fucking stinks. It is the worst smelling stuff you'll ever smell in your life. It's disgusting. You know, and that's only smoking it. You know, so I wouldn't sell that shit because that kills people. You know, I'd never sell.
What about What about ice and all that at the moment?
You know what? We don't get that in England.
You'll get it?
No, we don't. I thought that was just a USA thing, an American thing. Do you get it in
Nah,
Australia?
it's massive over here.
Is it?
Yeah.
Ah, so right. So nothing. No, there's none over here whatsoever.
Shit, that's a surprise me. That
Yeah,
one.
none at all.
Fuck, there's a massive problem over here.
It is. Well, it is. It is. That stuff
Like
is
a
awful.
lot of the old cokeheads over here now have gone to that.
Yeah. It's a naughty. That's a naughty thing that ice is.
Yeah, very naughty, very naughty. Tell me before we go on, because I want to hear some more about your jail stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've seen pictures of you in your younger days.
Yeah.
Explain some of the tattoos.
Right. I can't really explain them. I can't really.
But
Explain
no, but you know, yeah, but in a way where like, is there any meanings to some of them?
You know what? This
Like-
is the thing I say to people who says, "Is there any meaning to them?" I said, "Yeah, they mean I liked them, so I got them." You know what? Most of mine don't mean anything. Obviously, I've got my son's name, my daughter's name, but most
Yeah.
of them are just pictures and just little bits. You know, if I've got a couple of pictures here, pictures there, pictures there, and then little shading round and this round,
Yeah.
and it just mixes it all together. But yeah, most of them don't mean fuck all.
Did you just get them done when you were on the pistol?
Something like that, Neil. Yeah.
So tell me, like, when was the last time you were in jail?
I came out of jail in 2015, so I've not been in there for 8 years.
Okay.
So I've done well. I'm not going back. I'd never ever go back.
I don't think you're going to go back now because, like, as I've seen on your Instagram and social media, you're now doing acting.
Yeah. I'm an actor now.
Fucking, that's a big turnaround.
Yeah, it is. But I think my look kind of helps me with jobs. You know, yeah, it does. Funnily enough, though, Neil, I only play drug dealers.
Do you get offered it or do you demand it?
Huh?
Do you get offered it or do you demand it?
Give me that fucking role, son. But yeah, all my roles that I get are gangster roles, drug dealer roles. You know, they're the kind of roles I get. But that suits me, you know.
Yeah.
And I tell you what I
enjoying
always
it?
do when obviously I've got my scripts, but every time I'm doing the thing, I'm sort of saying like, can I kind of make this my own? And they're like, yeah, of course you can. So if the you know the line was, you know, I'm coming after you, you wait, something like that. I'd add it, I'm fucking coming after you, you fucking wait, you cunt. You know, I'll add my little bit in because I swear a lot, you know.
I can tell. You know what you remind me of? Lock, Stock and Barrel.
Oh, Jason Statham.
Yeah, but he hasn't got as many tattoos. Oh dear me. So when you got out of jail, did you just want to turn a corner or what?
You know what? The last time I've done 12 years in jail. Well, I've been sentenced to 12 years in jail. So I've done over 6 years in jail, and it's a long fucking time. You know, I don't understand these people that are in jail. They get depressed and all this and all that. Just fucking man up, get on with it. There's nothing you can do about it. Do your sentence and get out. You know. So I'd done that. The last time I got out in 2015, I just thought to myself, I've had a fucking enough. You know, I don't need it. You know. So, and that was the turning point, you know. And I've had a lot of, I've had a lot of trouble over the years. So, I've been hit with baseball bats, coshes, buttons. I've been stabbed. I've been glassed. I've been run over. You know, I've been hit by a fucking car deliberately, and then when they jumped out the back and fucking smashed me with baseball bats. You know, I've had it all. So yeah, it's kind of time to calm down.
When you say you got into a lot of fights like this, was it just you by yourself, like they're coming after you, or is there a group of you? 9
times out of 10, it would just be me on my own. Obviously, I've got mates, and I've got loads of different mates, different circles. But it was never gang related. It was never gang related.
It was just a personal thing.
It's a personal thing. So yeah, when I got run over, I upset these let's say some Asian fellas, some Asian fellas, and they come, you know, literally they'd come, and I remember I'd look round, and I had this car coming, vroom, and I'd just look round and I just see the lights, and it fucking ran right over me. As if that wasn't enough, they got out with baseball bats and started pounding me with baseball bats. I remember when I got to hospital, I had a white top on, and obviously when the next couple of days, you could see the tyre marks literally ran all over me. And the hospital said, you know, if you wasn't so fit, you know, you'd have, you know, we don't think you'd have walked again, you know. So I was on crutches for 6 weeks. I was in hospital for 2 weeks. And then, you know, I was going to the gym on my crutches to do a bit of biceps.
Did you finally meet up with them after it or not?
No comment, Neil. Let's leave that one there.
Hey, you found a bigger car, didn't you? Oh dear. Do you miss that life?
No, I don't. I'm happy with my life now. You know, I've got a little girl. She's 4 years old. Yeah, I like a chilled life. You know.
But you still get harassed and all that.
Yeah, occasionally, but I ignore it. Do you know what I mean?
Because you know what, it's like for the world you've lived in and for what you've done, enemies usually don't forget.
Yeah, well,
you know
I
mean?
Yeah, obviously I've still got some enemies, and I've still got people that have something to say, and everyone will have something to say. But you know, whatever. Who gives a shit? You know.
So you don't have to look over your back or your shoulder anymore.
You're always looking over your shoulder, ain't you? You know, I always am. You know, but you know, nothing's come yet. So let's see.
Oh fucking hell, bro! Like you like to have a car run over you and fucking leave a tire mark. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like he was doing a handbrake turn on your fucking. Like, tell me about the last jail because what was the one called with the knife? What was that one called?
That was High Point. That was actually High Point. So that was High Point, aka Knife Point. So that's about 45 minutes from London. They send everyone there from London. It's a London overspill. It's a shithole of a jail, and people are getting sliced up in there, stabbed daily. And I was in that jail for quite a few years. I could never get. You know, when you're on a long jail time, you can get town visits and you can get home leaves. You know, once you've done a certain amount of time, but they would never give me that because I'm high risk. So I wasn't allowed to leave the jail because I'm high risk. I've been in so many times. I'm so violent. They wouldn't let me out. But in that jail, you know, I had some good mates in there. I remember one day there was this geezer. He was a black fella, and he was he got caught with a Mac 10. You know, the machine gun, like the handgun machine gun, Mac 10. So he was a bit of a boy. Anyway, we was in there, and he'd been in there for a couple of weeks. I'd been in there for a couple of weeks, and we're all playing a game of poker. And we're talking about, like, you know, who's anyone in this jail. You know, because most of the people in there were fucking faggots. So we're sitting down having a game of poker, and there's about 8 of us in there, and he just comes out with, he said, I know who's certified in this jail. And we all went, who? He went, you. He went to me. He went, you're certified. I said, how do you know that? He said, don't worry about that. He said, I spoke to a few boys I know. He said, you're certified. He said, you know, you can have it. You know, and that, you know, that's nice when you hear that.
Yeah.
You know, so he made a couple of calls. Who's this fella? Who's Ian Griggs? And all he had to do was make a couple of calls to a couple of people outside or a couple of people in another jail. And yeah, they told him, yeah, he's the boy.
Did you find it hard to go overseas? Or you're with the passport, or you're all right now with the charges that you've had?
You know, there's nothing on your passport. There's nothing they can put on your passport. So all you have to do is lie. Don't declare anything. That's a trick.
You know what? You've got to be the dodgiest cunt I've ever met. And you know why? Because you're fucking from England.
So are you. So are you.
But I'm not as dodgy as you. Oh, it's the city. See, it's from being down south, you see.
Yeah, that's it. Well, yeah, same as you've been up north, you know.
Have you ever had any trouble with any Scousers?
You know what? You know the funniest thing about this, Neil? I've never, ever. There's one place in the UK I've never been. I've been everywhere, you know. But there's one city I've never ever been, and that is Liverpool.
Why is that? You scared?
I'm fucking scared. You scare us, fuck that.
You're scared of Scousers, aren't you? So why haven't you never been there?
I've just never, you know, I've been for nights out in Manchester, nights out in Newcastle. I've been away with the missus and the girlfriends in, you know, Birmingham, Manchester, Scotland, Leeds, anywhere. But yeah, I've just never ever decided to go to Liverpool.
Well, that's good, actually.
For the crackheads, ain't it?
Well, no, but that's good, though, because you've got no enemies there now. That's good. That's great.
I've got enemies everywhere else, but not in Liverpool, yeah?
So what does the future hold for you, mate?
Well,
tell me.
The future, you know, it's looking good. So I've got quite a few acting roles coming up. I've got a few films coming out, series coming out. I can't go into the names and the details, but it's looking good. 2024 is looking well for me.
Good. So so your goals is to what? You're going to follow the acting career?
Keep
is that
doing
what you're going to
follow? Stay out of jail. Stay out of trouble.
But Ian, it's been a pleasure fucking talking to you, mate. And you know what I mean? Like, we've been trying to get this going for over 6 months now.
Yeah, we've been going a little while, haven't we, Neil?
And we've been friends on social media for about 2 years.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, so it's been good, and I'm glad you came on eventually.
Thank you, mate.
But thank you for coming on. Much respect to you, bro.
And you, Neil. Thank you very much.
But go and party in Liverpool, yeah?
Huh? Well, let me know when you're coming over, and we will. You got too many enemies there now, yeah?
No enemies in Liverpool, bro. Thanks, brother. Take it easy.
Neil, love Jay. Thank you, mate. See you later.
Thank you.